So the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS beneficiaries, they get free tuition, free accommodation, free meals and free books. Now the students will also get a 275 Rand monthly stipend for personal care from NSFAS. More than 800,000 students will benefit from this new initiative, but to get a clearer understanding as to how things will work, let us now talk to NSFAS Administrator Dr. Randall Carolissen. He joins me now live in our studios in Johannesburg. Good afternoon to you and compliments.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming through. I believe, of course, this will come as a relief for many students at tertiary institutions. How did this initiative come about?
So, as we said before, we're going to take a much more active interest in the success and throughput of our students. And in our consultation with students, we found that while students are funded, especially those in residences, they get free meals and they get tuition. They often don't have money even to buy the basics of dignity products, females,
sanitary
sanitation,
towels, yes.
and things like that. And that caused them to miss classes. It caused them to, of course, not benefiting fully from the educational experience. And we became aware that some universities, from their own initiative, started to pay that. And then we just decided to make it available for everybody.
All right, so this will start this year. But
yes.
the 275 Rand amount, how was it arrived at?
Well, look, we consulted with students and we did a little bit of research, and it's a start. And we had to, of course, work within our available budget as well. So it's not new budget, it was budget that we had to work within.
The reason I'm asking you, Dr. Carolissen, is that we've already seen the South African Union of Students saying that the money is not enough.
Well, like I said, I think we are paying quite a substantial amount over to students. And of course, we have to also make sure that we reach as many students as possible. So there's always this trade-off. But I think the NSFAS grant is quite generous and will assist students to at least have the comfort of completing the studies without having to worry about where the next meal comes from. That's quite important, that students be able to know when they're going to eat and have the meals to eat and not having to worry about things like that.
So we're looking at over 800,000 students who will benefit from this initiative.
Depends, yeah. We probably get close to 800,000 this year. Last year we funded 690,000 students, and because of our strong marketing we had this year, we expect that number to go up quite substantially. We'll know the full number, of course, after registration. Yeah.
But for this grant specifically, how will they receive it? Because we know that with their meals, they have to go to the different supermarkets with their student cards. This one specifically, how is it going to be rolled out?
Well, all allowances. We have now reached agreement with the Department of Education that all allowances are going to be standardized and that we will pay them directly as far as possible into students' bank accounts so that they begin to manage their own financial affairs. We are removing all financial commercial interest from the disbursement chain because it just does not work. So students will be expected to manage their own affairs going forward, and this will be part of that transfer directly to students.
All right, so it's going to be transferred directly to the students.
Directly to students, yeah.
All right, now let's just talk about the registration. We've seen, of course, long queues at tertiary institutions. Yes. How is it going for those qualifying for NSFAS this year?
So perhaps some statistics would be useful. So we received 417,000 applications. We've touched virtually every one of them. 300,000 of them are already approved. The others are work in progress. And mostly the work in progress have to do with student documents not being completed properly, outstanding documents, differences between what people declare and what we find in the system at the credit bureaus and things like that. And we are contacting each one of them.
Is that not creating a confusion, Dr. Carolissen? Because I do remember, whilst I was still on holiday, I had something about NSFAS cancelling the SMS system.
Yes.
So how do you contact them now?
So we decided to cancel the SMS system just prior to the Christmas period because we saw a lot of fake news being bantered around under the banner of NSFAS, and it created a lot of confusion. So now we only use social media to direct students towards their own My NSFAS portal, and on there we put the information and information and of course whatever students need to know, so that there's no chance of interfering anybody else using that. We suspect that there's fraudulent intent because students are also being asked for their PIN numbers and their cell phone numbers. So we want to move completely off the cell phone infrastructure for disbursements, and then we will be going to payments at banks, and we've already had discussions with banks about the ability to open bank accounts for students so that we can facilitate payment directly to banks.
All right, so for those who have not heard from NSFAS, they should just go into the website and find out more about that.
The status is completed on the website, and those that have been approved will read approved, eligible for NSFAS funding, subject to registration.
And I do remember that, in the previous years, we've seen a number of students saying that tertiary institutions would not allow them to register if they NSFAS beneficiaries. Have you sorted that with the institutions this year?
So we've communicated that very clearly to institutions that NSFAS students don't have to pay a registration because we provide upfront payment to institutions for that purposes. We are aware that there are few institutions that don't adhere to this, and I'm talking personally to the Vice Chancellors about that. Students, NSFAS students should not be paying any registration fee.
The standoff at UNISA?
The standoff at UNISA is mostly UNISA issues. So NSFAS
it's got nothing to do with
well,
NSFAS.
there's one or two small issues,
Yes.
but not really NSFAS issues, yes.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks for your time.
All right, many thanks there to Dr. Randall Carolissen.